100% fake free. This is the Robbie Cruise Show, and we're live from my garage. And famous people are going to sit right there. Nice. 90% of all single-use plastic goes to landfill or ends up in our oceans. UNsmother Nature. Let her breathe. Episode 5 of the Robbie Cruise Show. We've got a very special guest today. He has been deeper into the ocean than what I've ever been up a building, to give you an idea. He's also a man that's taken photos of the Ceolacanth. We're going to hear about that story as well. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. You just hit the subscribe button at the bottom, and then also the little bell next to that so you can get the notifications on everything that happens on the Robbie Cruise Show, and you can follow us on all other social medias as well. But without further ado, the man, the legend, Pieter Venter. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and you have a good thing going here, so I'm looking forward.
I hope so. And we actually need to save this world because your main hobby is diving. It's your main passion. It's the thing that you love the most.
Yes, no, for sure. I grew up at the ocean, inside the ocean, on the ocean. So, yeah, that's.
Where did you grow up? How was life for you as a lightie?
I grew up in Namibia, Walvis Bay and Ceolacanth. So I grew up at the coast, surfed, dived, so the ocean is in my blood. I think my wife said that I might have been a dolphin in my previous life, but anyway, yes, yeah.
And where did the passion for it start? I mean, who decides I want to go hundreds of meters underneath into the water?
It's a long story. I think it started when I was 6 years old. My dad was in the Navy and he strapped 2 cylinders, Navy cylinders on my back and took me into a rock pool. And from then on, I was hooked. When I got to Stellenbosch University, the first thing I did was my Open Water 1 course. And that progressed to dive master and assistant instructor. And eventually when I went to Pretoria, I met up with the guys, a bunch of cave divers, and we started cave diving, and then that progressed into mixed gas diving, technical diving, and that went to open water, deep water diving. So, it was just a progression and a continuous sort of progression, small steps. It sounds crazy and extreme, but what it is, it's a small, manageable progression. So you push the envelope, but you stay within your comfort zone. If you go outside of that, it becomes extremely dangerous. And I've had a couple of scary moments. I might mention, I don't want to talk too many scary moments, but
it's scary, trust me, it's hair-raising. There are some hair-raising moments. But for somebody that's, into intellectual property, that's actually what you do, and you're an engineer by degree. So, how did you put those two together?
Well, I think the technical side of deep diving, if I can maybe give you a short little seminar of a typical mixed gas deep dive.
Please, because at a certain stage, you can't oxygen is not enough.
Yes. So if you, just to put it into perspective, if you are an advanced recreational diver, you are limited to 40 meters and at that depth, maybe 10 meters bottom time. So what we do is, and the reason for that is that there are 2 main problems. The one is when you breathe pressurized gas, the gas dissolves in your body and tissue in your bloodstream, and when you ascend, that comes out, and it's like opening a bottle of, Coca-Cola. It will foam and you can die. So decompression sickness. The other one is what's called nitrogen narcosis. So it's the nitrogen part of the air that you breathe under pressure dissolves into your around your nervous system, and that squashes the nerves and you become goofed, knocked underwater.
Literally goofed, like
goofed, yes, not drunk or whatever, and it differs from person to person. But on land, that's normally fine, it's not an issue. However, 100 meters down in the dark, it can quickly turn to paranoia and, and death, a panic. And so to combat those two issues, for the nitrogen narcosis, we add helium to the mix. That's where the main part of the mixed gas diving comes from. And helium is less narcotic, so you can push the depth much deeper for the same narcotic effect. And for the other problem, the decompression, what we do is where we can, we enrich our gases with oxygen. Oxygen lowers the nitrogen part, and also it helps the nitrogen to diffuse out safely. But then when you go deeper than 100 meters, there are other problems like oxygen toxicity, carbon dioxide buildup, the depths that my friend Gomez, we might talk about him later on, the depths that he dives, there's high pressure nervous syndrome, so then the helium then causes nervous problems. And so there are lots of other dangers. And of course, those deep dives, you have a ceiling. You have to do, just to put it into perspective, if you do a 100-meter dive at 15 minutes, the total dive time is about 4 hours. So you decompress for 3.5 hours. And that means there's a ceiling above your head. If you rise above that ceiling too early,
that's it.
Chances are you will die or you will be paralyzed. So it's a... And in the early days, those things were all very experimental and anecdotal. So we had to, work it out, work on old Navy, systems. And anyway, it's like trial and error. Error normally didn't work. I was
about to say, no, you don't want to error a lot in that trial, but yeah.
But in the beginning, it was like that. But yes, so the dives become quite complex. You need a lot of equipment. You have to be completely self-reliant, so all your equipment is doubled up. So if one system fails, you can switch over to another system. So it's double of everything. So a typical dive, what we did for the Ceolacanths, to 120 meters for 15 minutes bottom time, I would have 2 18-liter cylinders on my back, 2 11.4 travel gas, and then 2 decompression gases, mostly 80% oxygen. So it's 6 cylinders, 2 buoyancy compensators, 2 reels with buoys, because it's an open ocean, it's a free-floating dive, you can separate it from your buddies, and you have to be able to survive on your own. And the currents are strong. Some of the dives, we ended up 15 kilometers away from where we started diving, just floating in the current.
Just the current taking you.
So it's, once you're in the current, it's fine. If everybody floats together. But if someone ascends a little bit earlier than someone else, the current will take him away. And
then you've got to be able to fend for yourself and do all your changes.
That's it.
But
so
when you mentioned Ceolacanth, let's get into that, the history of the Ceolacanth, because it's weird how you find a fascination for something like that. Yes. I'll be honest with you, but tell me a bit more about that.
Just the Ceolacanth itself. It was thought to be extinct for millions of years, 9+ million years. Was the last dated fossil that they found, or the earliest fossil. So nobody considered that they could still be alive. And then in 1938, Marjorie Courtney Latimer found one of those fish. It was caught off the coast of East London. And the captain of the boat called her and said, she was from the J.W. Smith Institute, and called her and said, I have a strange fish. And she didn't immediately recognize what it was, but she realized it was something very unique. And she then helped to describe it, and then it was a huge, when they realized that it was a coelacanth, it made a big scientific uproar. And then in 1950, they caught one on the long line in the Comores, or in Madagascar or Comores, And then in the 80s, they were filmed underwater in Comores with a submarine at about 280 meters.
So that wasn't a human, basically. That was an actual machine that they
machine,
sent down.
Yes. Yeah. No, there was someone inside.
But still covered,
Yes, and very deep. And they thought those were the South African coelacanths that the South African coelacanth that they caught in 1938 was a fluke or washed away. and they thought that the Comores had the only population. And obviously it was CITES 1, it's highly endangered, and and it still is, but to everybody's relief, the population is a little bit bigger and more widespread than
we thought.
Yes. So that's the history of the coelacanth, in short. And it just so happens that when I studied, I saw a little documentary of the coelacanth on National Geographic, I believe. So I had a vague idea what they looked like.
And then that was just like where it was born. That was where that idea was
Yes,
born.
yes. So I never thought that I would find one. It was by pure fluke that I found one, and we'll chat about that.
No, for sure, because that's how that worked. That
Yes.
You were planning for something completely different,
Yes.
and then that came across your path.
Yes, so I was doing my final deep trimix qualification dive off the coast of Sodwana, and at Sodwana, the continental shelf comes in quite close, up to 3 kilometers. So So what happens there is the water, the sea bottom slopes down gradually to about 95 meters and then just drops into oblivion. And in that continental shelf, there are canyons that cut into this continental shelf. And it's in those canyons that we dived. That specific canyon was called Jessa Canyon. And so on that specific dive, I was a student, a noob. Anyway, it was my qualifying dives, and it was me, Pieter Tim, and Etienne, and we descended down, and they were on the sand sort of bottom, and I was on the inside of the canyon, hovering above the abyss, and I did my checks, so my gases look fine, my pressures look fine. I got myself neutrally buoyant, and then I started looking around, and I saw Pieter Tim and the student. They had a small issue there. They were trying to sort that out there on the sand, and I had a helmet on with lights, and I started scanning the cliff face of the canyon, and there was a little light. It was like a pinkish light that kept on shining at me, and I decided I'll swim closer. And when I got there, it took me a while to realize what the hell I'm seeing here. It was a huge fish, about almost 2 meters long, and it was motionless, hovering, and it just looked strange. Big head, weird looking, tail fin.
So the fins are like
fins
weird
are
leg-looking
like legs. Yes, it looks like exactly like legs. And I realized, shit, this is a coelacanth. So I freaked out. I swam over the top, went to go and fetch Pieter Tim. He was, no, wait, he's busy with Etienne. And I said, no, come and have a look.
That can wait.
He can wait.
Yeah.
I dragged him over and into the cave, and then when I showed it to him, I said, look. And then I saw 2 more behind this one. So there were 3 in that specific cave. And he said yes, he saw it, and we went out, we fetched Etienne, and we started our ascent. And 3 hours later, when we got into the boat, I was, excited. I thought, geez, guys, do you realize what we saw?
History, yeah.
Yes. And we saw a coelacanth, and then Pieter Tim said, no, I was knocked. Anyway, he thought it was potato bass, because the colors are similar. The shape is completely different, but the colors are, grey with white spots. Anyway, I kept saying, no, I'm certain.
And you knew what you saw.
Yes,
you knew what you saw.
It was clear to me. And anyway, that night around the fire, I said, I took my logbook and I drew a picture of the fish I saw. And when I showed it to everybody, Pieter Tim, everybody went, oh my goodness, it could be, But we didn't have any photographic evidence or anything. So we decided, okay, we're going to just keep it quiet, not cause a ruckus, and come back in a month's time to get video.
To actually get footage of it.
Yes.
Because now it's just your word against the world.
Yes. So we decided to keep it quiet. So anyway, and as I said earlier, I'm still a diving noob, a deep diving noob. So we got experienced divers together, a team of 4, and the whole thing is a team effort. You have, say, 4 deep divers, and you will have 4 support divers who meet you when you ascend, if you have any problems, to try and help you.
So it's not just you going down by yourself, obviously. You've got a whole massive team to set this whole thing up to go back down.
Yes. So it's not although you dive like a solo dive, self-sufficient, it's a team effort to make the whole thing work. And anyway, so the 4 of us, Pieter Tim was the skipper then, he dropped us off in exactly the same spot, and you swim down as fast as you can. It's 115 meters or 110 meters. So it's a long way down, and to avoid the currents at the top, you swim down as fast as you can. Anyway, we got to the canyon edge, went over, and I had my cave diving light, and I just started swimming along the cliff face, shining into all the caves and canyon or caverns that I see. Anyway, and I was swimming fairly fast. We had about 12-15 minutes bottom time, and I was quite far ahead. Anyway, and I saw an eye again, and I went over there. But this was almost at the end of our bottom time. So
you only got a few minutes left.
Exactly. So I frantically waved to Dennis and Chris to come and film. Chris got there first, and he filmed 3. Possibly the same 3, we don't know. Anyway, he filmed the 3, and Dennis also got there, and he also filmed. And we were then at the end of our bottom time, and I said we have to call the dive. We're going up, and like I said earlier, the ascent of the dive is a very dangerous, chaotic sort of time of the dive. The way we did it at that stage was, you would deploy a buoy with a reel, and the reel will be marked, say, the line will be marked at 60 meters, so you let this buoy go up, and when you see the colored part of the line, you block it, and it drags you to 60 meters where your first decompression stop is. And it's just bubbles, it's chaos. And during this ascent, it stabilized at 60 meters. I saw my buddy Gilbert was there, but I didn't see Chris and Dennis. And they ran into trouble at some stage, rapid descent to the top, and they managed to save Chris, take him down to 50 meters to redo his decompression stops. But Dennis said, no, he's not going down. Unfortunately, he died on that dive, which put the whole damper on this whole thing. We have the evidence, everything that we found them. Anyway, during this, sort of turmoil time, the footage was released, and then just all hell broke loose.
And it was. And isn't that how also that I read a lot of marine protected areas, and that specifically became a marine protected area?
Yes, it was a marine protected area before the time, but nobody really knew it, And so the nice thing about the discovery of the coelacanth was that they tightened up the legislation around it. It just shows the importance of marine protected areas. And because, marine protected areas feed the rest of the ocean, which get stripped all the time by overfishing or just fishing or whatever, And so that was one very good consequence that came from that. And, we got called for, hundreds of interviews, radio, TV, National Geographic phoned, the then Minister of Environmental Affairs, Wale Musa, called me in for a news press release, and I couldn't believe the interest in the coelacanth. There are a lot of fish nerds out there who just
lost it.
So which was quite.
Did you guys then? I mean, what happened off of that? How did that then influence your career as a diver?
The footage we had, we filmed with 2 cheap cameras that we scrounged from,
Big borrow steel,
yes.
yeah.
So Channel 4 from the UK phoned me and they said they are working on a Ceolacanth documentary, but they couldn't get hold of any Ceolacanth footage, underwater footage. If I would be able to, supply this or provide that to them. And I said, of course, but we will need good cameras, we will need better, equipment to make it a little bit more, safely. And they said, no problem, how much do you want? Gave them a budget and
We'll go for it.
yes, and then a couple of months later we were back. And for that, because I'm still I was new in the game at that stage, I got Nuno Gomez in to help us with the planning of the dives and doing it more safely. And at that stage Nuno was the world record holder for the deepest cave dive in the world, which was 283 meters. Which is insane. So anyway, he knew what he was doing. He's just an amazing man. He got involved, and we did so many deep dives on the second expedition, safely, no incidents. Also, we got fantastic high definition footage of the coelacanths. It was a 3-week expedition, which was really fantastic.
And how awesome is it to know that like your footage, gets used by, it's something that you discovered that you've actually gotten footage. It's not like you pulled out your phone, you went down 120 meters to find this thing.
Yes, and I still own the copyright in that, and I've given this to Japanese, Koreans, all over the world, National Geographic, everybody's used the footage at some stage, yeah.
But I'm not plastic. It's something that's important to you. I know.
Yes.
When you read those words, I'm not plastic, human nature, what does it mean to Pieter?
Yeah, there are there are two parts to this. The one is the human part, and the other one is the nature part. And obviously, the human part, humans stuff up nature.
We're doing a great job at messing this planet up.
Yes. And but to me, the other part is, and I think that's similar for all scuba divers. If you are immersed in the ocean, you are part of nature, and you have to. The human part is, especially for deep cave dives or deep sea dives, it's just you and nature. And if something goes wrong, nature is going to take you. But the other thing is you grow a love. Most scuba divers are environmentalists because they see how the oceans deteriorate and how important it is, and and they live by that. Take photos, and leave only footprints. They don't even leave footprints,
Just
yeah,
drifting
it's a
past,
no-touch
floating
photos,
past.
only move away. And to me, that brings your slogan, human.nature, it makes perfect sense, Yeah.
And it is true. And even having a marine protected area, it's not like plastic isn't going to float there. It's not like there's going to be no plastic bottle that is, it's a marine protected area, I'm just going to float around. It affects every single turtle, every single dolphin, every single
absolutely
fish.
So, and there are many facets to the problem. If you just look at the ocean, it's got several facets. It's chemical pollution, plastic pollution, of which a lot of it is fishing nets, and that's not confined to any borders. So that floats into and it stuffs up the marine protected areas as well. And however, if we don't have the marine protected areas, those will also be stripped, and then we have nothing to feed back into the ocean. But that's one aspect. The other aspect is stop littering, stop trashing the ocean. If we don't, the ocean will be destroyed. It's the biggest heat sink for temperature rise, and also the biggest absorber of carbon dioxide and other hothouse gases.
But it's also, and it's in our best interest because it's our biggest ally when it comes to global warming, and that's what we
exactly.
we need it
It
on our
absorbs
team,
the
yeah.
heat and it absorbs the carbon dioxide. But if we kill it, then and temperature. It's carbon dioxide absorption is also temperature sensitive.
Pieter, there's so much that I want to talk to you about. Nuno Gomez, still the deepest dives, bikini atoll. So I'm going to ask you to please come back onto the show, if you don't mind, if you're up here again. We are going to give you an I'm Not Plastic shirt. I like that shirt, but I think you'd look better in an I'm Not Plastic
Of
one.
course, that's why I came.
Thank you. You heard that all the guests on the show get one of these. So I think we're going to hook you up with one of these shirts. So and this one's actually perfect. It's one of our slogans, UNsmother Nature. So it's obviously I'm Not Plastic. And then UNsmother Nature, let her breathe. I think that's quite a cool one.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
That one's for you.
Awesome.
So the next time you come on, you're going to be wearing that one. Thank you very much for joining us. That's it for episode 5 of the Robbie Cruz Show. Catch this man back on the show because he's still got a lot of interesting stories to tell you.
I'm Pieter Venter and I'm Not Plastic.
This is our first ever guest that has flown up all the way from Cape Town to be with us today. Thank you very much on our I'm Not Plastic segment. Delise, thanks for being here.
Thank you, it's a great pleasure.
Please tell me, it's Kiapanande.
That's right.
There we go, I got it right first time. Where did this whole idea come from? Handmade artisan soap?
Well, basically, you can say it was an act of desperation. It started with my last born child. He had a skin reaction to some products, and the pediatrician at the time recommended we move over to natural alternatives. So I took my last 50 Rand, I bought the ingredients, made my first bar of soap in a used Rama tub, and I fell in love with the art and discovered my life passion, and I haven't stopped making or using soap since. So yeah, because I made so much soap, I had lots of gifts into orders, and before I knew it, it was a business, and I was sitting in front of Robbie Cruz. Which is really cool.
Nice. I'd love to say you've arrived, but you're going to arrive. Oprah is going to be big shows, don't worry.
You said famous people are going to sit here, so.
Famous people are sitting right
I'm
here.
just
But
saying.
this is incredible. Before we get to all of this, how incredible is it that your kid, your child, was the birth of this amazing brand, of this amazing thing?
Yes.
And just because they had a skin allergy to most other things.
Yes, absolutely. It was a big eye-opener. At the time, we were already living a greener lifestyle, a more self-sustainable lifestyle, and this just opened up a whole new world for us in terms of what you put onto your skin. It is our largest organ. What we put onto it is just as important as what we put into our skin, in our bodies.
And we're already collaborating with Kiapanande, so that's very interesting, very exciting actually. I'll let you zoom in just now, but I'm Not Plastic on your packaging, which I think is fantastic, and also on your op jou voorskoot, very nice.
Proudly.
I like it, that's incredible. But the decision to obviously to come up with flavors and things, you told me an interesting story about you had a cappuccino from a stall and you're like, I like that, I think we must make a soap of that.
Yeah, so basically I don't really have a set range. I literally make whatever I feel inspired to make, when I feel inspired to make it. The good thing about nature is there's so much goodness in nature, there really isn't much improvement. So there's so much to use. So whenever I get a new ingredient or I feel inspired by a cup of cappuccino, I go like, hey, let's do something with it. So, and I love to collaborate with local farmers and local businesses, and whenever they have something usable for me, I like to collaborate with them and use it in my soap.
And your packaging itself, it's also 100% compostable.
Yes. Now that is a big thing for me. That was something I was saying from the beginning. I said, obviously we want to stay clear from plastic. I feel especially we as small business owners, we have such a big responsibility towards the community, We, at the end of the day, we determine what we put in the consumer's hands, what they take home and how they dispose of it. So I really feel that we need to step up and accept responsibility.
I think it's incredible. I really think so.
Thank you.
What are the 3 things that your husband told you not to say, not to do wrong on this show when you're around?
Talk fast, speak less, and not say the F word.
That's not plastic for you right there.
No.
I like that.
Everybody that knows me.
Yeah. Not everybody watching, but everybody knows. Delise, what are you aiming to achieve? What's the goal with this? Where do you want to be in every hotel, just in shops, just at markets?
No, I don't aim for that. I think at the end of the day, to me, the bigger focus is to lead by example, to show my children and people in my community that it's possible to make a difference where you are with what you have in your small circle, your family, your small business. You can make small changes that will have a big impact on your children's lives, on the world, and for generations to come. So to me, I don't aim to have a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I just want to live sustainable, live out my passion, and touch people's lives as we go.
And well, you do. You're making soap. That's incredible.
Yeah,
but it's true.
Really nice.
So not being plastic is important to you, and obviously the future, we'll have no future if it's not for us and the decisions we make. And I like what you say. It's going, hey, this whole thing's compostable, but where are they going to put it? Where's it going to go? What are we going to do with this thing? It's probably going to end up in landfill anyway. So that's actually also the education and getting that across to someone.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, to me, recycling is absolutely crucial. And also, I've started a big project now where I take used oil from restaurants and we recycle the oil, turn it into usable soap, because that is the main ingredient for soap. So 90% of that will be donated back to the community where it's most needed, like orphanages, old age home, and safe houses. We actually did our first recycled soap now, so that was really awesome.
And did you ever think, you fell in love with it, like you said, soap?
Yeah, it was literally in that little, I found my life's passion. It's beautiful. It's been beautiful.
And husband, is he very supportive of it?
Very. My husband and my children.
But
children
he smells
are actually
good. He must smell good. Like
yeah, they
cappuccino one day, watermelon next day. Yeah.
Well, my husband always what do you think about this one? He's like, no, this is my favorite. And then with the next one, what do you think of it? Like, this one is my favorite. And the children, they're forever in the soap, and they always make the patterns on top, and they're always competing about who's going to make the next pattern. So it's very nice to have the family support and have them all, And
nice. When you guys decided, obviously we approached you and we've spoken to you about I'm Not Plastic and what we want to do and what our goals are, obviously. But when you read the words I'm Not Plastic, Human Nature, what does that mean to you?
No, at the end of the day, we are an incorporated system. We live on this world, in the world, with the world. And we have to realize that. We have to give, as much as we take out, we have to give back in. And that's the way it works. So when I see I'm Not Plastic, I see, human.nature, that is it. We are part of nature, nature is part of us. And it's an integrated system. And the sooner we realize that, the better it will be for everybody.
Where can we follow you? Where can we follow the journey? Where can we experience more of this? Where can we get hold of this fresh handmade soap?
Okay, so we're on Instagram and Facebook, and we have a little lame excuse of a self-made website, but
go check it out anyway.
yeah. But I started focusing on local distributors more. So I've taken hands with quite a few online shops, because at the end of the day, it also gives them a chance to do business and earn a living. So we target small independent online shops as distributors. And we had lots of markets, and we're hoping to set up shop pretty soon.
Delise, how do you come up with the different scents for your soaps?
Okay, so it's all natural, no preservatives, no artificial colorants or scents. So like I said, I make whatever I feel when I feel inspired to do it. So I'll start from this side. This one has got coconut milk in it and lavender essential oil.
Always a winner.
Yeah. This one is actually made with paprika and rose geranium and neroli essential oil. This one contains activated charcoal and tea tree. It's very good for acne. This one has got carrots and turmeric juice in it with ylang ylang essential oil.
Sure.
It's a good coffee over here. I love my coffee.
This is the cappuccino one. That's
yeah.
cappuccino one.
And this one is actually honey and oats, and it's made with real honey from a honey farmer in Stellenbosch.
And it doesn't. It's not overnight. You're not going to use it tomorrow morning. It takes a while to cure.
Yes, it takes about 24 to 36 hours to make, and then 4 to 6 weeks to cure before you can use it.
So like the red wine takes some time, eh?
Yes.
Kiapanande, where does the name come from for the artisan soapery?
So that was actually a byproduct of my oldest child. She was bored the one day, and when this hobby started to transition into a business, we were thinking about names, and my child was bored, and I told her, no screen time for you, grab a pen, write your name in different ways. And she's like, Mom, it's only 4 letters. I said, well,
make
use
a
all
plan,
of our
yeah.
names then. I just scribbled on the paper, left it on the table, and my husband picked it up after a week. He's like, what's this? I said, no, that's Kira's, like, she was bored. He's like, this is your name? I said, yeah, it's all of our names, dummy. He's like, no, this is your name. So it's actually all the members in our family, starting with the children. It's Kira, April, Aniken, and then my husband Andrew, and myself, Delise.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's it.
So,
Whenever family business came to being, that's how
definitely.
that works.
So it's part of course, you know, it just reminds me always why I'm doing it. So it's really awesome.
You continue to mention family. That's very important to you, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
So shout out to the family. Tell them.
Yay.
Hallo.
Hallo, 50 randjies vir jou.
Mama het net een keer gevloek vanaand. Sê.
Nog 50
Ja, nog
randjies vir
50
jou.
randjies vir jou. Oh, but Elise, thank you very much for coming in. We look
It's been
forward
an
to
absolute pleasure.
obviously collaborating with you guys. But all the best for Kiapanande.
Thank you.
I'm sure that the sky is the limit for you
This
guys.
is only the beginning.
This is only the beginning.
Double watch this space.
You double watch this. Awesome.
Thank you. I'm Delise Sanderson, owner and master creator of Kiapanande Artisan Soapery, and I'm not plastic.